It's my specialty. Still sore. Let me. You would like this? Whoa. Anyways. Oh, this fell. That's not good. What up? What up? What up, world? Maddie D in the building of ITB. Yo. So this is my last. This will be my last thing I'll say about the whole women's march. Is my post recently I put up like almost an hour ago. It's getting a lot of good interaction, good engagement, and conversations going. So look, where are we at in this? Where are we at in the world? What's going on in the world? What's happening in the beautiful land of America? So Donald Trump was inaugurated as president yesterday. Some people loved it. Yo, Jason, it's all good, man. Appreciate you. So Donald Trump was inaugurated yesterday. Some people loved it. A lot of people are hating it. As seen in the protest from yesterday, I'm in the DC area. People are like looting, rioting, setting cars on fire. It's going crazy, and I'm like, wow, really? And then today, I think it's still going on, I believe, in DC, Chicago, and Seattle are the marches for the Million Women March. Million Women March, if I'm saying it correctly. I'm still in support of it. It's needed. Now, it may seem like there's a lot of chaos going on and stuff like that, but I do believe from a spiritual perspective that it's necessary because this is our time to wake up as a species, as people, because with the election and him being president, it has caused us to hopefully, maybe it's one slap in the face that we need as humans to wake up and realize that things are not the way they should be, that things have been set up in our favor, and that this planet, especially our country, needs a huge makeover in terms of how we treat each other, how we come out with stuff. So, excuse me. Also, before I'm share that one tip like I described here in the description. So what's going on with all this? How do we deal with all this? What do we do? Like, what do we do? And it may seem chaotic. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, politically and stuff, and it's crazy, you know? So, no matter what's going on, one thing I can suggest is you got to move forward. You have to keep moving forward no matter what. Even if you don't like the fact that he's in office, it's way better to accept it as is, because protesting is fine, but it's not the end goal. I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, protest, what's it gonna do?" It's not the end goal. It's not the solution, but it's a start. You know what I mean? And I think people finally decided to do something about life. Decided to do something with crap, which is good because this country needs a lot of work. I don't care what president, whether it was Obama, Bush, this country needs so much change and work. It's ridiculous. So it's chaotic, but look, we're gonna move forward. We're gonna get through this. I mean, everyone's still afraid of what's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna be a crazy time. We'll be fine. But I will say this: regardless of where you're at, you know, in terms of the election with the president, if you're protesting, not protesting, if you're deciding not to focus on that and focus on your goals, because I'm gonna get back to building out another YouTube channel and some other videos, which I'm gonna do some keyword research on tomorrow. Comes down to this, and this tip is something that I've had to remind myself of as of lately. Kevin Trudeau has said it. It's in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. He talks about it. In regards to where you're at in life, it doesn't matter. If you are struggling, if you are not liking where you're at, whatever thing you're dealing with, Napoleon talks about this. Kevin Trudeau has said this one thing, and it's so true. He says success is a decision away. Said by Kevin Trudeau again. Success is a decision away. Napoleon Hill talks about the habit of making a decision. You decide, okay? Some people had decided to protest. They decided to do something about the administration. And here's the thing. The worst place to be at is when, well, not the worst, one of the worst places to be at, and I've been there, and we all, was when you feel stuck, you feel ambivalent, you feel unsure what to do, or if you, in terms of money, then maybe there's something that you want that you don't believe that you can afford, and you can still get it. It's just a matter of making the decision to do it. I'm telling you, like, when you keep yourself in indecision, it sucks. It's not fun. it causes a lot of stress and you don't realize it. And we're afraid to make a decision because I've been there. You're afraid of making the wrong decision. You're afraid of being wrong and failing and screwing up. And it's not true. What's up? Yo, what's up, SJ? And guys, by the way, as you're watching this, comment below what your thoughts are. Like, hey, please subscribe to my I don't want to say channel, subscribe to my profile when I do these. But like, look, like we make a decision, even if it's a bad decision, it's better than being indecisive, because that will cause greater consequences that don't work in your favor than making a decision that may not be the best one. At least you have experience and awareness of like, hey, I made a decision. That sucked, but I did something. Versus, excuse me, not doing anything about it and just kind of like sitting there and waiting, hoping, praying. Like, it's the worst to especially when you're nervous about doing something. Like here's a great example. Like when you want to ask someone out on a date and you're like, you want to do it, but there's that huge fear of rejection that gets to you, and it just the butterflies get to you, and you're like, oh my god. Like, men experience this when it comes to talking women. You see a woman that you want to talk to, and you're like, now unless you practice it and gotten used to it, the idea of going up to her, it's like scary. You're like, what the fuck am I gonna do, right? But in that moment that you don't decide to do it, you're debating, it is the worst time. You feel so much stress. But when you just decide to make it work, when you decide to go, yo, thanks for the hearts, guys. Let me know, like, comment on this, share, give me some feedback. When you decide to do something, you will feel better. You will. You'll feel a hint of relief. Hint. Now, you may still feel uncomfortable because especially something that's new to you, new for you. But once you've decided to do something, you'll feel that just a little bit of relief. And I'm telling you, that makes a huge difference, man. Huge difference. Like, what's a good example I can give? Like, for example, like, I'm trying to think of one that I've done in the past. Like, when it came to, for example, there was a bill I had to pay that at that time I didn't have the money for. I needed to pay it, and it was just getting worse. And by me deciding not to do anything or hesitating on it, just screwed it up. So I finally made a decision to call up the creditor and say, hey, here's where I'm at, what's going on, what can we do? Things worked out in my favor, and I had options I didn't know about. But I decided to do something, and the thing is, in that moment when I made the decision to do it, I felt better. I felt like I was in power versus trying to avoid it and run from it, and that's depowering. That's not good. That's not good for you. When you decide to do something, you take control. Even if, I'm telling you, even if you're in the worst of financial situations or home life, whatever it is, when you decide that you're done with it, you're going to do something and make a plan and act out, you feel better. You feel like you're empowered, and you realize that, like, it's going to be better. You're going to be okay, and that life will come to you. Like, I'm telling you, just decide. Whatever it is you want. I don't care what it is, so long as it's, something that helps to benefit people. That's not going to hurt someone or cause them pain or violate, what's up? Oh, Sandy with the Flores, how you doing? As long as something that's not going to hurt someone, but benefit you and someone else, just decide to do something. When you do that, I'm knife-handing people. That's some Marine Corps technique. Whatever. Just make a decision, because we've all been there in bad relationships where, like, you should break up, but you don't because of the fear. But then the relationship, by deciding to not do anything and to stay in the crap of it all, it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. You get unhappier and happier and happier, and it just sucks. But there's that fear of, well, if I break up, the consequences will be worse than where I'm at. But then as you delay that decision to get out, your situation only gets worse. To the point where it will happen where either the decision to break up will be made for you, or you'll decide, all right, the pain of staying the same has gotten worse than the pain to change. Again, Tony Robbins says this: when the pain of staying the same has gotten worse than the pain of changing, then you'll decide to do something. Yo, Alicia, thank you. You're very much so correct on that. Decision is a powerful thing, and Napoleon talks about that. Like, indecision is the worst thing ever. It's one of the worst things ever. And you're screwing yourself, and you may not see it, but like I'm telling you, if you're not happy with how things are going, it doesn't matter if you don't have all the resources. Because guess what? Most time that people go on to do things successfully, they have so much shit against them. They don't have the resources. They have the money, the connection, none of that crap. It doesn't matter. If you make the decision to just do the damn thing and go after what you want, you will be fine. You will feel better. And I'm not saying it's going to be an easy path. It's going to be challenging, but that's how you're going to grow. Just decide it. So all this political crap going on, decide what it is that you want to do. I'm sorry, correction. Decide on what you're going to be. Decide on the change that you're going to be in the world. I decided to be a different change, to be one that's more inclusive, loving, and let's work together, people. You know, instead of this hateful crap that's going on. Yeah, I don't agree with him being in office either, but I'm not going to let that. I'm deciding to not let that affect my life. I'm deciding to not let that bring down my days because it's my life. I affect my life. The president doesn't. Congress doesn't. No one else does. I do. No one else. Now, does that make life all rosy and unicorns and crap? No. But it does make it better. I get the power back. I control it instead of going, oh my god, he's in office. It sucks. Whatever, man. He's in office. He's in office. It is what it is. You know. But when you make a decision to do something, like there's plans that I'm making, I'm going to do certain things that right now I don't have all the financial resources for, but I'm still deciding it. I'm still choosing it. I'm still going to do it. And by doing so, I'll get to it faster versus having to wait on some outside circumstance. No. You don't have to wait on something to be right. No matter what it is you're going to do, the time will never be right. It's always going to be shitty. It's going to be crappy. And most time it's going to be a rough path when you just do it. But it's worth going through the rough path versus staying where you're at and being clearly unhappy with it. It's like we do this to ourselves. I've realized this lately as humans, as I've been watching people and looking at people who are in different situations, who are going through different challenges than me, and they're unhappy and stuff that I've done to myself. And I go, we are all unhappy with where we're at. We don't like it. We're clearly wanting something better. But then we don't do the things that we need to do. I mean, we keep doing the same shit or things that don't serve us. And in doing that, we create our own unhappiness, and we just create more bullshit in our lives. So the question becomes like, why are we doing this? Two, for what reasons do we continue to create more bullshit? How does that serve us even though we don't want it? Where are we at? Like, why as humans do we make things more challenging than they need to be? So, I thought about that. So then I decided, like, well, how can I make things easier for myself instead of screwing myself up? Because at the end of the day, my friends, it's true. We screw ourselves up. We are the ones that sabotage our own success because we either, one, do it subconsciously, two, we blame other people. Blaming people is the worst. Blaming sucks. Thank you, Martha. And three is that we don't believe we can because we don't believe we believe that we have to have all the resources or something. Like we think, oh, I can't do X, Y, and Z because I ain't got da 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 da. Complete and utter bullshit. Like it doesn't matter with where you're at. Like if you're in a tough spot, the reason why it's going to be rough, and here's my example. The reason why when you make a decision to do something and sometimes all things go to hell and all things break, it's like it's the same thing of having you built a house with a crappy foundation. Now the house is old, it's nasty, it needs to be cleaned, things are broken, and you're unhappy with the house, okay? You're unhappy with the house. So then when you decide to knock down the house and build a new one, it's going to be messy because you built a house with crappy foundation and it's messy, needs to change. So as you're taking down the house and changing stuff, you're going to have a temporary mess, which is why it may seem like things are breaking down. But then when you have the new house up and built, everything settles, right? That's the exact same way it works with changing your life. If you're in a crappy situation, it's because you've made a crappy situation with the wrong rules and everything else, the wrong foundation, so you're in a crappy house. So when you start changing that situation for the better, it's going to be messy because you're breaking down the crappy house. So you're going to have a mess temporarily, but doesn't mean that everything's going to hell. It's just everything has to be destroyed in order to bring something new. Sometimes it's true. Sometimes in order to create, some things have to be destroyed. And if you're in a crappy situation, a crappy household, and you want to get out of it, you want to get in a better life, one, make a decision that I'm going to change things, I'm going to have a better household or whatever, and two, get to work. And as you're doing that, you'll see things change. Things may go to shit, but it's going to be okay because you can't bring in the good stuff that you want when you're continuing to surround yourself with the things that are negative and bullshit. It doesn't work. So things have to be destroyed, uncreated, and that will create a mess. Temporary mess, so you can get more stuff. But anyways, I'm done. I love you all. Thank you for watching this. Appreciate you guys. Look, like this, comment, share it if you got value. Share it with someone who you think needs to hear this message. Subscribe. And yeah, man, let me know your thoughts. What do you guys think? Do you agree, disagree, all that fun stuff. So I love you all. Get in the black.